Hello everyone, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It's me, Captain Logan, and dancing like a crazy fool to his upside down microphone, it's our wonderful chat moderator and producer, DJ Martinez. I guess I'm just letting the lead-in music play in tonight. It's just going to continue. Possibly the whole show, maybe we'll just loop it. Anyway, welcome everybody. How's it going? Welcome to what I'm sure is going to be the worst Captain Logan show of the year. I'm not striving for that, but I'm kind of expecting that. Full disclosure, I'm coming down with something just as we're getting started here. Like, I set the show up, like an hour before start time. And sorry for being late tonight, folks. We'll just pretend like that, this is a really rare occurrence and that never happens.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, just after I set the show up, I started sneezing a lot, and I started feeling like I was coming down with something, and I was like, oh no, I'll just get through the show, and maybe nobody will notice. And then I got on with DJ, and I sniffled one time immediately. He was like, oh, you're getting sick, aren't you? And I was like, there's gonna be no hiding it. So. The nice thing about doing these things remotely is that you can't get anybody else sick. So, yeah, I'll try not to gross anybody out, but I'm probably going to bed right after this. So, yeah.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry you're feeling bad, but I'm excited to see you. Happy to see you guys.
I'm excited to see you too, man. Yeah. Code Geese Anime Fan wants to know why I don't just go to bed if I'm sick. Well, I'm not like sick yet, but I can just kind of tell that I'm not gonna be the best later. But yeah, I'm kind of blowing my nose a little bit and stuff. I was getting like sudden cold chills right before the show, so now I'm wearing this really ridiculous outfit. I had to like just throw on layers as quickly as possible. So like now I've got like none of this goes together. I've got this like Marvel Zombies hoodie, and then I've got my Jurassic Park shirt on, and then I've got these like Marvel pants. I guess those go together. But yeah, so or like I don't know, going to bed pants, pajama pants.
I love the idea that you don't think at all about like colors going together. You just want your brands to go together. You're like, well, as long as they're the same brand, then it's fine.
Well, yeah, that. Initially, I meant none of it goes together at all, but I was like, well, at least there's a couple brands that match. I guess I was getting ahead of the viewer because I know somebody in the comments is going to be like, well, you got two Marvel things, like two out of the three things at least are in the same universe, and that ain't bad.
I mean, Marvel Zombies versus Jurassic Park is coming eventually, so.
Oh, that's inevitable, yeah.
Just hold on. Just hold on to your
Universal
butt.
will get the rights back to not just Hulk, but everything Marvel.
Yeah.
After Disney finally decides that there's no point in continuing with the MCU and they just sell it to Universal for like, $20 million. They sell Marvel to Universal for less than they paid Robert Downey for any Iron Man film, for any film he was in.
He's doing other films now. Now he's in Oppenheimer. He's doing all that himself.
Yeah, which I didn't even realize until a few days ago. And like I was already excited. I haven't been to the theater to see any of the new stuff yet. And by the way, we're gonna try to review that not this Sunday but next Sunday. Quick. I wanted to just do real quick announcements about that, and this is a good segue for that. But I've been excited to see Oppenheimer, and then I found out that he was in it, and now I'm even more excited to see. Have you been yet?
No, I can't get excited about it.
Oh, really? Okay. Sorry, the way you said that, I thought maybe you'd seen it already, but.
No, I've just seen a lot of the advertising for it. It's very funny seeing like the press tours because it's like Christopher Nolan and Cillian Murphy and like all these like quiet, reserved British people, and then Robert Downey just like completely different, just like taking all the attention and talking to all the interviewers and stuff. So
he's probably excited to be in a movie that anybody gives a crap about because it's been a little while for him.
Yeah, I mean. At least he's recovered after Doolittle.
Don't you think the first thing he should have done is something kind of more like this instead of Doolittle? Or probably something like more not high profile, honestly. But at the very least, something, I don't know, half serious that isn't another family film?
Yeah, I don't know how long Doolittle was in the pipe. I don't know what was going on with that.
But... I know how long it was in the theater.
Yeah, that's true. Shorter than we've been on vacation.
About as long as it took to take a nap, I think. Yeah. Anyway, so this Sunday, I need some time to get to the theater and see those movies. We're going to do at least Barbie and Oppenheimer. And
Sweet. I have seen Barbie.
Oh, you have seen that? Okay. I may try to go to the new Mission Impossible also, although I doubt if I'll get there for a third movie. But I'm gonna try to see at least those two and review those with Connor. And again, in 2 weeks. This Sunday, though, Dan is going to join us, and Austin and Jason and I, so the four of us,
Wow.
are going to talk about new offerings from DC in the Dawn of DC initiative. We're each reading as many, we're kind of sampling as many books as possible, and we're going to tell you guys which ones we think are worth looking at and whether you ought to jump into DC with their new big kind of relaunch. It's the biggest relaunch they've had really since New 52, arguably, and at least since Rebirth, and a lot of their books, they've kind of, I don't want to say wipe the slate clean because they kept, some books going, but like they don't have anything like as many as they used to. It's a lot easier to read everything if you really wanted to, and it feels to me, from what little I've read so far, I guess I'm kind of revealing my hand a little bit here, but just from what little I've read so far, it really feels like a return to form for them, and I'm excited to read more, and I hope that it continues to be cool. That Joshua Williamson guy, man, he's really stepped his game up. I always thought of him as more kind of a workman writer, and he's doing some really neat things over there, and like all of a sudden feels like a real A-list talent. So we will talk about his stuff and others. But anyway, that's what we're doing Sunday. And then again, in 2 weeks, we'll talk about new movies. Tomorrow night, if I'm feeling up to it anyway, Austin and I are going to be doing the next Superhero Rewind commentary for the Superhero Rewind commentary project. I can't think of words. This is where I'm at right now. Like I said, it will be a terrible show. I almost guarantee it.
Yes. Please send the most super chats you've ever sent.
Captain Logan is dying before your eyes. Please give. No, I'm completely joking.
No, I just want to read you. I just want to see you answer them when you can't think of words.
You just want them to be like the most cerebral possible. See, the super chats are pouring in as if I need to pay for hospital bills. I want to say thanks a lot for the support, but just know I'm okay. It's just a... And my wife has a sore throat too.
Oh no!
And I think I might be passing it through the house. So really, like we need your help. The whole house. We're all gonna go to the emergency room tonight. We're all dying. Anyway, what the heck was I talking about? Anyway, so for the Superhero Rewind commentary project, I finally got that out. We're going to be doing the 1980s Masters of the Universe film starring Dolph Lundgren, which I was going to prepare for tonight. I don't know if that's going to work out, but I'm going to try. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into tonight's lead-in topic before we go any further off the rails. DJ, there are two, I want to say big, I guess, based on big DC events, direct to streaming animated movies from DC coming out in 2024, and it reads like this is their whole slate for that year. So for next year, it's really funny because I saw 2024 and I was like, oh, why is that coming out in 2 years? And I have to keep reminding myself what year it is. Like in my head, it's still 2022. I have to on a regular basis go, oh yeah, that's right. No, we're living in the future. It's 2023.
We're almost in the 7th month of this year.
Yeah, I know, and I still. So wait, I looked at that. I was like, wait, 2024? Why are they waiting so long? Anyway, so
wait, we are in the 7th month. We're almost in the 8th month.
Yeah, next month, August. It's my birthday, and I keep thinking that it's 2022. I guess I think I'm going to turn 38. Anyway, so their whole slate for that, and I think they've been putting out closer to 3 or 4 of these, but they're just doing 2. Which is curious, unless I'm wrong about that figure, but it seems like these have been coming out at quite a clip, and I'm very behind on them now, by the way. I think there are like 6 or 7 of these I've not seen yet, and I keep meaning to watch, like the Catwoman movie, the Justice Society movie I've not seen. There's a Green Lantern movie made by the John Semper, the Spider-Man, the 90s Spider-Man guy, did a Green Lantern movie.
What?
That everybody says is terrible, but I'm still very curious to see it. I think I have it. I just haven't watched it yet. It's Jon Stewart. It's the Jon Stewart Green Lantern.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy. There's
who is
been
my
so many
favorite
of them.
Green Lantern, and I'm gonna be sad if it's not good. But and when I say favorite, it's not like I'm a huge. Yeah, I'm not a big Green Lantern guy in the first place, so like I don't know a lot about John Stewart. But if gun to my head, if you had to say, well, who's your favorite Green Lantern? I mean, I liked him in the Justice League cartoon, so I guess he's my favorite. And anyway, there's even 2 or 3 more. There's Doom That Came to Gotham. I think that's one of the most, if not the most recent. I haven't seen that yet either. So I've been wanting to get those all watched and then do a kind of like a whole. Yeah, I really can't think of words right now. I'm falling apart as in front of our eyes. I want to do a kind of catch-all show and do sort of rapid-fire reviews and just tell you guys which ones are worth watching, which ones aren't, and do maybe an hour and a half on several of those all together. Austin and I have been talking about doing that for a
really
while,
cool.
but I don't know if we're gonna have time to together to get it done, and we keep putting it off. So I'm gonna watch those, and if Austin gets to them, he gets to them, and if not, I'll just do it myself. But I'll do it myself. I'll be like the guy who wrote the Hamilton musical. I'll just he played the lead on Broadway. I'll just do it myself. We just reviewed that last night. That was wonderful.
I saw that. That was crazy. I was like, wow, what a way to come back to Geekvolution.
Right?
Like theater geeks are geeks, I guess. It counts.
Oh, and I connected it to superhero stuff as much as absolutely humanly possible. And there's a Weird Al polka, so for Hamilton, so
there you go.
We've got that connection from me and Austin. Without further ado, let's talk about this whole thing. As alluded to in the title and thumbnail, it's Crisis on Infinite Earths and Watchmen. So, 2 very small 80s DC stories that very few people have heard of. DC can't quit Alan Moore, says this article from Bounding Into Comics, though he hasn't worked there in years and is returning to his well again for another adaptation of his most celebrated work. The better way to put that would be they just can't stop milking Watchmen for money, even though it's, besides selling a ridiculous number of graphic novels, they don't tend to make a lot of money with Watchmen stuff. Well, I say that. Maybe some of the extra, not extra media stuff, but like extra comic stuff they've done have at least 4 comics sold okay, because they probably wouldn't keep making them if they didn't, like I don't know how well that Rorschach book did, but I was hearing a lot about that when that happened, and before Watchmen must have done all right because they put together that like huge hardcover of all of them and all of that. So anyway, but I digress. And then the stupid Jeff Johns thing that I have tried to read 100 times and I just cannot get into. What is that? Doomsday Clock. But anyway, it was announced at San Diego Comic-Con that Watchmen is being turned into an animated movie that is scheduled for release in 2024, and it won't be the only famed story becoming a feature-length cartoon. Cartoon, yeah, okay. Dark Horizons reports a Crisis on Infinite. By the way, I have heard
Cartoon.
exactly.
Is it Saturday morning Watchmen?
Yeah, I hope so. That's the only way I can see justifying an only 75-minute adaptation of Watchmen, if that is indeed what this is. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of. Like, how are you going to do that?
How does this even work? Yeah, there's a reason that Crisis wasn't done years before with these DC direct-to-video movies, and when Snyder made his 3.5-hour Watchmen movie that was cut down twice for different versions, people still complained about things cut out from that movie. Imagine trying to do it in 75 minutes. And even if it gets a second part, which we've not had an announcement for yet, which is curious if that is how they end up doing that. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's still not enough time. Like, you can't tell me that, well, in the time it took us to do Long Halloween and Dark Knight Returns, we're going to do Watchmen. All right. So this is, let me look here. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. It is being sold as a Justice League movie, Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is annoying. Like, we're still doing this? We still have to put Justice League in the title? Like, everybody knows what Crisis on Infinite Earths is. It doesn't have to say Justice League. Do you really think you're going to sell more copies or more people are going to watch it because it says Justice League?
You could just say DC or something. DC, like, people know what DC is, at least.
Hey, DC, you guys realize that the live-action movie that you guys made, that you released twice, it's called Justice League both times. It wasn't successful either time. Like, the title, you don't need it, but anyway. Along with Watchmen, was made at San Diego Comic-Con after a screening of the upcoming release Justice League Warworld. This latter feature is animated and is set in the Tomorrowverse that started in 2020. That's referencing Superman Man of Tomorrow, which is excellent. And the movies after that have been hit and miss. Some of them are pretty good. Some of them aren't. And again, a lot of them I've missed. But of the ones I've seen, I've liked, some of them more than others, but the track record has been better than the previous continuity so far. And apparently Crisis will also be part of this same universe. And then it says, when it comes to Watchmen, things are less clear. I mean, that'd be pretty weird if that was part of that universe, unless they're adapting Doomsday Clock and they're doing a multiverse thing with this universe. Please, God, no. Odds favor a more faithful adaptation of the graphic novel than Zack Snyder's, complete with the giant squid monster. Do they? Do they, though?
That's the only thing I ever hear about people who don't like the movie. Is like, oh, we need it exactly the same. Like, what?
Well, spoiler alert, if it's 75 minutes long, it won't be exactly the same. Squid monster or no. My worry, and Austin said this too, is if it's truncated like that, it's just going to be the Injustice movie all over again, which was unwatchable drivel and awful. That whole thing is really unfortunate. I don't want to see that happen again with Watchmen.
Can you please start Unwatchable Dribble Rewind?
Well, I mean, that was already at least half of Rewind in the first place. But so here's the thing. I don't think it's a bad idea to adapt Watchmen again. And I think if you're going to do it again, animation is a better idea than live action. But I think you need to take the money it takes and the runtime it takes to make each of these direct-to-video movies. You need 4 of them. You need to take your entire slate for a year or 2 and only do Watchmen. That's your only chance at it being a better adaptation than what Snyder did. And even in animation, after all, what would be the point of doing it if you weren't trying to outdo that movie? This would be the first time that I can think of anyway, DJ, that one of these would go to material that has been adapted in live action like this already. It's happened the other direction, where like we had a Flashpoint movie and then Flash kind of did Flashpoint, but I don't know that this has really happened before, where you take a movie where you take material that was adapted into live action and then you do it in animation. Why do that if you're not going to try to make it better?
Why does DC do anything? I don't know. Yeah, it can't be 75 minutes. Unless, do we know it's specifically an adaptation of the book, or is it just something Watchmen-y? Are they doing
Bounding
something
into
else?
Comics is making that assumption. I don't know why. The announcement was simply, we're doing something called Watchmen.
Oh, okay.
So did
So it could
HBO.
be-
Like,
Yeah.
you don't actually know that for sure unless they know something that I don't. But they're not giving. But I mean, they can't, because they're not giving us any kind of. Yeah, looking at the rest of this, there's not any more actual information besides there was an announcement that there's a Watchmen movie and a Crisis movie. And that's all we know. Other than an R rating, full details have not been released, and it doesn't appear this new animated version will play a part in the Tomorrowverse. DC already incorporated Watchmen into their mainline continuity with Before Watchmen and Doomsday Clock. Before Watchmen really didn't have anything to do with mainline continuity. I don't know what they're talking about there, which turned Dr. Manhattan into a force to be reckoned with in the multiverse and beyond. That's true with Doomsday Clock. I think this is kind of just... forgive me for saying it like this, just kind of crappy journalism, because they're making weird assumptions. I mean, they are saying like full details haven't been released, but at the front of, they were too definitive at the front of the article in saying an adaptation of Watchmen. You don't know that it's an adaptation of Watchmen. It probably is. And I say that because, so you're on stage at San Diego Comic-Con. I was going to say this earlier. I haven't heard hardly anything coming out of Comic-Con this year. Like, usually that's a huge weekend and there's all this news that comes out. I haven't heard hardly anything.
Because they can't talk about movies at all.
That's why we're covering this. Yeah, but usually there's at least some comic stuff. I haven't heard about anything but this.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there is other stuff, and I just haven't paid close enough attention. But usually, people will send me messages and stuff, and I haven't heard about much else besides this. But
I think it would be like heavy on the comic stuff since they can't do movie stuff.
Well, maybe
unless they just didn't have anything planned and they couldn't pull stuff together.
And again, I'm sure that there were some announcements, but maybe nobody cared, and so it wasn't a big enough deal to anybody that it hasn't come my way yet.
Yeah, of course.
I understand I could have, worked real hard for 5 minutes looking into things, but I'm just saying that it's interesting that I'm not hearing a lot of people talking about anything from San Diego, and usually that happens. But it would be weird, right, to go on stage in San Diego Comic-Con and go, hey, everybody, Watchmen cartoon, Watchmen animated movie, Crisis animated movie, and then when those things finally come out, it's an adaptation of Crisis, but it's not an adaptation of Watchmen. Like, putting those together and trying to make a big announcement out of it, everybody, like, Bounding into Comics didn't report this right, but everybody's going to respond to it like the way they reported it, and people have been. Oh, cool, they're doing Watchmen, or, oh, great, Watchmen again. I know they'll screw that up. As far as Crisis goes, that's also a thing you can't do in 75 minutes, and I always suspected that the whole reason that Crisis on Two Earths was made was because that's a simpler story to adapt, and that wasn't even really a straight-up direct adaptation. There's a story called that, and they took some things from it, but it was largely, if memory serves, an original story. It's been a while since I reviewed that. I did an old scripted rewind on that, but... And I used to not like that movie, and I liked it a lot more when I did the review on it. But so go watch that; it's okay. But anyway, I always assumed that was made because that was a simpler thing. It's only 2. It's not infinite. An easier thing. There's not as many characters. Easier thing to adapt in a short film, and not a short film, but a short film.
Shorter.
A shorter film, yeah, but a feature-length movie that's not real long. But wouldn't you think that it's kind of impossible to remotely adapt that and it be anything like coherent, or you'd have to strip it down so far? What's the point? And then what's the point anyway? Because if that is indeed, again, it's weird because they said we don't have any details, but it's in that continuity. Okay. You don't have any details, though, so how do you know that? I said, how do you know that? But it's weird either way. If their Crisis on Infinite Earths is set in the Tomorrowverse continuity, that's pretty early to do a Crisis. They don't have any. They haven't messed up any continuity that they need to write themselves out of yet. So, like, what's the point of doing that? And it would have the Death of Superman problem, or sorry, the first one they did, the Superman Doomsday problem of, well, it'd be kind of weird to establish a DC continuity and then do Crisis in it in a shorter film. So, like, any way you slice it, it's very strange. And then I have talked to some folks about this that say, well, Cap, you don't know for sure that they're not going to do them in at least 2. I still say Watchmen you can't do in 2. Crisis maybe, sort of. The Arrowverse did it in 5 episodes, but that wasn't direct adaptation. They wasted a lot of time in that, so that's, we can't take any stock in how that was handled at all. But you'd have to do it in at least 2. Again, I think Watchmen you have to do more than that. But every time, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, folks, but every time we've done these in 2 parts before, they've always told us that in their initial announcement, the opening salvo. We always know it's 2 because that gives people more incentive to be excited about it. It's like, don't worry, folks. When we do Dark Knight Returns, it's not going to be horribly truncated. We're gonna really take our time with it, and it's going to be a real feature-length movie. But they announced these 2, and they don't say that. So that kind of lends credence to it's probably just 1 part, and also we're gonna release just 2 that year. Okay, well they've been doing 3 or 4, so it is possible that they're actually releasing 4, and and 2 of them are Watchmen and 2 of them are Crisis on Infinite Earths. But it's weird that they didn't come out and say that. You'd think they'd be bragging about that, and we'd be having a different conversation if they were, because I'd be more excited about that. But I don't actually know if that's what's happening. And it would be so preposterous to try to do either of these in that short a time. So, very strange news. Very strange lack of news.
Hey, at least it's not a hoax about a Superman statue.
Yeah. How often do you feel the need to bust my chops about that whole thing? Nicholas Montes, they're doing a Justice League versus Godzilla and Kong comic miniseries. Okay, yeah, I did read about that. It didn't occur to me that that came out of Comic-Con, but yes, that is happening. And I forget who I was talking to, if it was Austin or somebody else, who said, well, that's cool because we almost had an Adam West Batman versus Godzilla movie in the 60s. And I was like, oh, well, now that you brought that up, we haven't done any 60s Batman 66 comics in a while. Be really cool if they do that. If they if they can cross over with Godzilla, it'd be really cool if they finally took that idea and actually wrote a story for it and just did it in 6 issues or whatever.
That would have been crazy if that movie came out. Wow. I didn't know about that. Or if I did, I'd forgotten.
That's one of those things where I'm like, just how different does the world look?
If Batman punches Godzilla in the face in 1968.
Yeah, what kind of precedent does that set for crossovers that far back?
Yeah, that's pretty true.
Okay, let's go to the proverbial phones and start answering questions on this or any other topic. And if you want to leave a super chat and guarantee that your question is answered and is heard and answered, we sure appreciate you. Thanks a lot for doing that. You can leave a super chat in any dollar amount, but you don't have to do that. You can also leave just regular questions, and we'll answer as many as we can before I tragically die or have to be rushed to the hospital. And all of tonight's proceeds go to my funeral bills. Thanks so very much, everybody. We really appreciate that. No, I'm fine. I just have like normal I've been sick in a while. It's been several months. I don't know.
All right. Yeah, let's go to the phones. Glad Connor just popped in because don't know if you remember this.
Oh, hi, Connor.
Connor.
Is he still in France?
What?
Didn't he go to France?
He went to L.A. Last week.
I saw something on his Facebook where he was at some place that was the map was toggled in Paris.
Oh, weird. No, he went to L.A. to visit his brother.
No, I know he did that.
I don't think he's in France.
Did you go to France, Connor? Why did your Facebook say you were in France?
But
and
anyway,
I looked really deep into it too because I was like, surely he's not in France. And then I clicked on the picture, and it was like. And it pinned him in a city in a street in Paris at some coffee shop or something.
Oh wow, Connor, did you sneak away to France and not tell us?
He was Are you a genius in France, Connor? Anyway,
did you bump into Alfred at some cafe?
I kept going. What am I looking at here? Anyway, I'm sorry. Why were you saying it's good that he shut up?
Because I don't know if you remember this,
I mean, it is
a super chat right after the show ended, or it came through.
I forgot about that.
And this was like 3 weeks ago now, but I've still got it here saved in my note, and I'm going to read it. So we'll finally get to it, Connor. Here he is.
Oh, Connor says, I listed the location as Barbie Land, and I guess that pinned me in France. It did. I thought there was some place called Barbie Land in France.
I was so confused.
This just goes to show you can't believe everything you read on the internet, even when it's posted by our good friend Connor Nielsen.
Yeah. But Connor said it's not relevant news at all anymore. But 3 weeks ago, Connor said, I just got Vincennes, that's Vinegar Syndrome for the uninitiated, 4K disc of Showgirls. This movie rocks. What are maligned movies that you guys like?
I wouldn't speak to him, and he wouldn't speak to me, but we both know that he'd made it. I've never seen Showgirls, have you?
I have not. I haven't seen any Verhoeven films. But I've heard Showgirls is great and misunderstood, and people for some reason took it seriously, even though all of his other films are commentaries.
Yeah, right. If memory serves, I think Ebert likes that movie, or liked that movie, but it was misunderstood, or at least he claimed it was. Or maybe he's one of the critics that didn't like it, but I thought he did. I don't know. It's been a while since I listened to him talk about that. But yeah, read that question one more time.
What are maligned movies that you guys like?
Oh, man. Matali says Cap likes Matrix Resurrections. That is true. I do like that movie, and I won't apologize for it either.
I have heard that movie is like the best middle finger to the studio. Like, it's amazing that they got away with that movie.
It is. No, it's wonderful.
Because it's literally laughing at the studio while you're making it, which sounds great.
Yeah. It's like we're being forced to make this. Mutali's answering this question for me with my own opinions, which I really appreciate because they're not coming to me right now because I'm not feeling great.
That's what's great about having a following. You don't have to. Your opinions are already in the ether.
That's true.
You don't have to have them anymore.
No, I ask people what my opinion is all the time. Mutale, Cap likes Passengers. I liked it when I saw it. I've not seen it again. I've actually been kind of afraid to go back to it because Eric and I were literally the only two people on the planet that liked that movie.
I like that movie.
Oh, you like that? Okay, well, there's three of us. We have started a cult, folks. The Passengers is okay cult.
I think people could not get past the premise of that movie. Like, they had an issue with the moral decision that the character made, which starts the movie. But, like, you can't.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's, like, the movie. Like, there's no movie if, like, I don't understand why people. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to like his decision, but that's the movie. I don't know why people got so upset about that. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. It wasn't like my favorite thing ever, but it was. I liked it.
Yeah, Mutali is bringing up movies from the last like 6 or 7 years that I reviewed and liked better than anybody else did. Another one is Tomorrowland. I like Tomorrowland a lot. Nobody else did.
Yeah, that was another one that I enjoyed. I'll throw out a couple, I guess. I mean, I've mentioned I like Amazing Spider-Man. That's in vogue now to like again because of No Way Home, but when I liked it, no one liked it. And I liked Incredible Hulk more than anybody else. Not a lot of people like that one. And I really like Peter Jackson's King Kong, which not a lot of people like, but I was a fan. What's something recent? Last year, I really liked 3,000 Years of Longing, which a lot of people didn't like. That was Miller's new film.
Oh.
The guy who directed all the Mad Max movies, including Fury Road. He did a film last year about a genie, which I quite enjoyed.
Speaking of that sort of... No, not at all, actually. I was just going to say, most of the live-action remakes from Disney I don't like, of course. Like, Lion King is the worst thing ever. Aladdin is also the worst thing ever. Rough. But I liked Beauty and the Beast okay, and I don't care what anybody says about that. I was kind of out on my own limb on that, but...
Yeah, I can't join you on that limb.
It's not perfect. I got a lot of issues with it.
I support your ability to stand on that limb.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Because there's other films I like that nobody likes.
Well, we all have that.
Yeah.
And this does come up a lot, and so it's one of those things where I was trying not to go to the same things that I always say. Like, one of the movies I always bring up with this is that the first Hitman movie.
Yeah, well, and one that it's tough, right? Because I remember liking Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland in 2010 when I was in high school, and I know everybody hates that movie. I don't know if I would like it now. It's been over 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's hard to answer, without going back and rewatching.
Well, that's what I was saying with Passengers. And of course, this happens, opposite with me all the time too, where I'll see a movie initially and not like it, and then the more I see it, the more I appreciate it. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to
all right, next question.
Some of today's super chats. Thanks, Connor.
All right. We're finally caught up to the past. Goofster123, $10 super chat. Coming off of Hamilton, if you had to put together a Batman show on Broadway, would you lean towards the campy 60s Silver Age stuff, a la Holy Musical Batman, or a darker Phantom of the Opera theme?
I would do both and open them in theaters right next to each other, just as a social experiment. No, it would be difficult to choose. If I was writing it myself, I think it would be more fun to write it as a comedy or as maybe a thing where like everybody, maybe not like 60s Batman, where like it's not actually campy, but it's funny, but nobody in the thing realizes it's funny. I mean, I guess Adam West Batman is like that to a degree where, like, he's Batman himself and Robin himself take everything seriously, but the whole thing is just, ridiculous and absurd. Like it is super silly. But, like, you do a thing that where the world is dark, but you're having a lot of fun with it, and it ultimately is kind of absurd. Sort of like Gotham, but it gets what it is. You make it like
what's that?
I'm trying to think of a good example of what I'm talking about, but
like Sondheim's musical, Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Do Sweeney Todd with it.
Yeah,
it's
there
like
you go.
Over the top, dark, parody, silly farce thing.
Yeah, with like maybe a little bit of black comedy. You know, you basically adapt Arkham City with Adam West Batman. That's my pitch. Something like that. And I'm mostly saying that just because Holy Musical Batman was already done, and I've seen little bits and pieces of it. I've been careful not to watch the whole thing because I want to do something on it at some point, and I thought that might be a fun blind commentary, but so I haven't watched all that yet. But
I would like a Spider-Man noir musical in that same vein.
yeah, that's a great idea.
That'd be fun. Get on it, Sony.
But I also do think you could do a serious Batman musical. That's a la Fan of the Opera, but I think that would be a lot more challenging to not come off real pretentious or, you know, overly self-serious.
You would have had to make that in like the 20s or the 30s for it to be authentic. I don't know. It seems weird doing that today.
Again, I think it could be done. I just think it'd be a real tall order. About as tall as Hamilton was. Like, that shouldn't work, but it does.
Yeah. I still haven't seen it, but I need to. I don't have Disney Plus anymore, though.
Well, get it long enough to watch that, or, you know, go to somebody's house. I don't know. but you should watch that. It's great.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Mutale. With 03 Hulk having turned 20, geez, and Incredible Hulk turned 15, which film had the better opening credits? I don't know what their dates had to do with that question, but also most attractive Betty, Tyler, or Connolly. Wow, very specific.
Maybe he's just saying we're bringing it up right now because
it's topical. It's topical. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a reunion year for both of them, like a nice even number. I had not thought about trying to get the Hulk commentary for the Rewind Project out this year, given that it is its 20th anniversary, but I'm wanting to do that with Daredevil and X2. So maybe I'll also try to get that in there. DJ, I was talking with Austin about doing a double feature for those movies, doing Daredevil and X2 in the same night, and it would be too much of a tall order to put Hulk in the same night, but maybe we'll also do it this year. Anyway,
Daredevil and X2, can you handle that much nostalgia punch in one night, Cap? You might just explode.
Well, I might blindfold myself watching Daredevil again, just so that I don't have sensory overload.
Yeah. There you go.
But
you'll still get all the crazy rock music in your ears, though.
I'm going to give the opening credits to Incredible Hulk because I appreciate the efficiency of doing the origin in the credits like that, and I think a lot more movies should have followed suit with that. But I also...
well, Hulk does kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't it give more of like his tragic childhood? Or
yeah.
I guess...
It's like the background of him and his dad a little bit. Weird that they both do that. I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
And I love both of those scores. This is a really tough question for me. I would have, without thinking about it, I would have just said Incredible Hulk like you, but yeah, I really like the score from Danny Elfman. That's my favorite Elfman score, is the Hulk score.
Yeah, and I haven't looked at that in a long time, so I don't remember exactly what that sounds like, but I remember liking it.
Yeah,
and I remember it being kind of weird and a little bit disturbing in places. So
yeah, it suits the film. I'll go with Incredible Hulk with you too, though. I love how, like you said, how efficient it is and how it tells the whole origin without wasting a whole movie.
They are both really good, though. The opening scenes. I mean, I think that 03 Hulk movie is a really flawed movie, but underappreciated. No, we talk about this all the time. I think it has a absolutely nonsensical climax. I have no idea what the hell is happening, but I really appreciate a lot of the ideas in that movie.
Ang Lee, he took it to like a DC place at the end for some reason. I don't know why, because he got so in the head of the characters, but at the end they're like these super powerful, like godlike beings flying around. I don't know why. He jumped out of Marvel mode at the end for some reason.
Yeah, you say DC, I say like an anime. That went to a Dragon Ball place or something.
Yeah, he got real big at the end.
Senior Nerd, if we do Daredevil, we'll do the director's this year. We'll do the director's cut because I have not done a commentary on that. No, I have, but it's been a really long time. But yeah, that's how we do it, because that's this, that's the sensible version. And I've complained ad nauseum about all the stuff that they cut and moved around in the first movie. So like we don't need to talk about that again. I'm sure we will a little bit, but we don't need to.
I might have to hop on some of those old early 2000s movies because I have a lot of memories of those. Those are, and I've never talked about those on the channel, so I might have to.
Well, you're certainly welcome, man. We do those very late on Fridays, but you totally can.
All right, I'll have to see. Did you want to answer the last part of his super chat?
Well, I'd be happy to. I don't remember what the hell it was though. What did he ask?
It's not really a Captain Logan question, but most attractive Betty, Tyler, or Connolly?
Oh, you did say that, and somehow that just went right over my head.
Well, it's easy for you because you don't like one of those actresses.
Okay, so that's not fair. No, I've come to appreciate Liv Tyler as an actress a lot more since the first time I said that all those years ago. And look, my opinions can evolve, okay? But if I have to be superficial and just talk about attractiveness of women for a minute in those two movies, yeah, I give it to Connolly all day long. Because my issue with Liv Tyler has always been she just is too young in the face. And so, if I'm supposed to like look at her and be enamored with her in a romantic sort of way, it's weird in my brain because she just looks like a kid in the face to me. I've always had that. Like maybe more so in, say, Armageddon or something, but even that far in, even at that point. Well, I say that far in, Armageddon would have only been like 3 or 4 years before that.
Yeah, you say she just has like a baby face to you.
Right? No, I'm wrong. Because sorry. I'm conflating the movies. That's 2010, so we're talking like 12 years after that.
Yeah. Hulk is 08. I don't know when that other movie is. All right. Well, we've covered the Hulks.
Now, the Beautiful Mind thing makes all that very distracting for me going back now. That it's both of those actors in the weirdly the same kind of roles, because they're both about a guy with massive mental illness and his wife trying to help him through it, and they weirdly got typecast together when they were put in that Hulk movie. It's very strange.
The chat has gone to a weird place. But Adam March says Liv Tyler looks youthful because her father is an immortal rock deity.
Well, that's probably why, but it doesn't make it less true. Anyway, moving right along.
TH1, $5.
Hey, he asked the question, so I answered it, folks.
We are at the mercy of the askers.
We
After
really
Dark,
are.
says TH1.
Not tonight.
Not tonight. He's dying, man.
Yeah, I don't know if you missed the part where
that was before you.
I'm taking donations for my funeral this evening, but
After Dark will never return again.
I said this will be the worst show. It'll also be the last show.
Going out with a bang, and then the rest of his.
It's closer to a whimper, maybe literally, honestly.
Let's see, TH1. The rest of it both went for the role.
Oh no, Incredible Hulk was 08. Yeah, my brain's not. You're also going to hear a lot of, like, not facts from me tonight, I guess, as well. So, yeah, it wasn't. But Armageddon was, like, 98, so we're talking a decade after that. But she still has that to me. Anyway, sorry.
I can't really. He says both went FR the role. Would the Thor movies be better if the other Hemsworth brother had got cast? How would you fix the strike?
Okay, I want you to say it again, but like...
There's no punctuation.
I want you to say it again, but I want you to rap it this time.
I think he means...
I'll lay down a beat for you, DJ.
Okay, I figured it out. I've riddled this. Oh, Cap's beatboxing tonight for us. Okay, I figured it out. He says both went for the role. What would the Thor movies be? Would the Thor movies be better if the other Hemsworth brother had got cast?
I don't feel like I've spent enough time with him to have a good enough sense of his chops.
Yeah, I've only seen him as Gale in the Hunger Games movies, where he just like leers at the main character the whole time. It doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah, I don't physically see him in the role in the same way, but I also haven't seen him, jack himself up so that he can be a superhero. So who knows? Like, Yeah, it's very hard to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen him in anything.
I'll be charitable and say it either would be, I'll be charitable and say it's probably exactly the same.
Yeah.
Except maybe Liam Hemsworth doesn't decide that it would be more fun to be lazy and not learn lines of dialogue while playing roles. Maybe that would happen. Maybe he wouldn't be as comfortable in just improvising everything, which would be a good thing for mankind. You know, he wouldn't get cast in Ghostbusters 2016.
Or your favorite Men in Black movie.
I don't know what DJ's talking about.
That's another maligned film that Kat actually loves.
He's pretending like, where's my eject button?
You actually have one of those.
Oh, Jurassic House. There's a maligned movie that I like.
There you go. We didn't talk about ironic likes.
I only like it ironically, but...
And then the last part of his question is an impossible to answer question. How would you fix the strike? You guys rock. Just throw that at the end. How would you fix the strike?
Yeah, I mean that's obviously the $10 million question. I wouldn't. I would just let Hollywood burn to the ground. Understand, of course, that I feel bad for a lot of the actors and writers that are gonna suffer for that. Of course, I mean, obviously you lose a whole industry. And a lot of people lose jobs, and it's bad for, the economy and all of that. So, I don't mean to be flippant about it, but, I mean, we could joke about things, but I also, don't mean to be too flippant about it. But, yeah, there's no good answer, because basically what you need is, well, I'll go back to Men in Black. You need a neuralizer. That's how you fix it. That's how you fix it, is you go to everybody in charge and you give them a neuralizer and you tell them that a lot of the newer technologies, including streaming services and maybe even the internet at large, are not things. And because that's the only possible way that you can take things back to physical distribution, which is what you would need to save Hollywood and to make it possible for people to earn residuals again, is you've got to go back to network television, and you have to go back to people actually buying stuff on physical media. And you can't put that genie back in the bottle. So what do you do but time travel or a neuralizer? Like, there's no going back now.
We've changed things.
That's also not the only problem, and I realize that, but it has a lot. Well, no, actually, my plan would fix that too, because along with those technologies that you would make all the CEOs of big studios forget about would be artificial intelligence, which is the other part of this argument. So you get rid of that too.
Yeah, and streaming and residuals and all that stuff. It's a mess. What they need to do to fix it is actually talk about it. The studios have not even come to the table yet. They're just refusing until the actors run out of food and are starving, so they have to stop striking.
No,
they're not even giving them a chance to compromise.
They think they could just wait it out, and everybody will just come, running back to them. And do you agree with this, DJ? I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're gonna wait it out. I don't think there's any chance that the strike ends because writers and actors are starving. I think they will simply starve or find other jobs until they can put it back together.
Already have other jobs because they're not being paid.
Well, they have to, of course, yeah. So but I mean, all of them. I think eventually, everybody. I'm just saying, I don't think anybody comes running back to the studios at this point.
No, they need to step up and actually start having the difficult conversations.
No, you're exactly right. No, we need a mediator. We need a Captain Picard, not Picard, but and not movie Picard, but. Okay, look, I'm sorry that we have to go all the way back to 1994 before we can actually find good Picard, but that's what we would have to do. You don't want the line will be drawn here, this far, no farther, Picard. What you need is like decent diplomat, Picard.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, James Egan,
Hi.
$7.99 in A money. I don't know what that is.
Oh, I haven't been using the gong, but it's all the way over there.
Well, it's a sick day. The gong's also taking a sick day.
The gong's taking the gong also needs Kleenexes here. I'm gonna throw some Kleenexes to the gong. Anyway. Also,
when you hit your microphone, it makes the same sound, so that kind of works.
Oh, that's true. I can just ping the microphone. Why did I spend money on that? Why did I spend you guys' money on that? What does that sound like? Is that pretty loud? Like, because I can barely hear it on my end.
No, that one wasn't. Whenever you threw it, I don't know if you hit the desk or something, but it made a louder noise. No,
cinematographic. You definitely don't want Nemesis Picard. No, nobody wants Nemesis Picard.
Let's see. James Egan, back to you. Back to James Egan at the desk. Do you all think with the success of Barbie and Oppenheimer, superhero movies will start to die out in the future?
No. I think that they will continue to be not an obvious safe bet. Because, I mean, it's hard for me not to just make all the same arguments I've made about this before, but I think the cream will rise to the crop. I think we'll see fewer of them be made, but I think that would have happened even if Barbie and Oppenheimer weren't successful. And I think the really popular properties that have good marketing and are decent movies will still make a lot of money. And I think it is also still possible for huge good superhero movies to break records, or at least to get close to those records. Like, I don't know that you'll ever see, I don't know what it would take to ever see an Endgame again, or to even see a No Way Home again, because I think you get one of those. I don't know, like the Deadpool 3 is going to do a similar thing with the Fox X-Men movies, and that's not going to rake those kind of dollars in. Part of that's because those movies were never as popular or successful as the Spider-Man movies, of course, but Keaton's Batman was, and that didn't help Flash. Now, there's a lot of different issues with that. There's a lot of different components to why that movie didn't perform, and if it had come out 2, 3, 5 years ago, it probably would have done a lot better than it did. But I don't think that's because of, or at least just because of, quote-unquote superhero fatigue, people just kind of tired of the sheer number of not good ones we've had. I've said this a million times. I don't know that people are tired of superhero movies so much as they're tired of formulaic, mediocre, or not good superhero movies. And if you go back a few years where people still really cared about MCU, your Flash movie probably does a little bit better, I guess is the point I'm making.
I hope the audience still stays discerning, because they're doing a good job. I mean, Flash is not doing well. Spider-Verse did amazing. So hopefully the audience still picks the right ones, and we can start losing the crappy ones that people's hearts aren't in, and we can still get the ones. I don't want superhero movies to die off entirely, but I would like them to step out of the spotlight a little bit. And
I'm tired of having to waste my time watching disposable, unmemorable drivel. I like that word tonight, so I'm going to keep using it. But I'm with you. And you also got to keep in mind that some of the most successful movies this year have still been superhero movies, so it's obviously not dead. People being... If there's any fatigue, it's MCU fatigue, and people being, sick of them kind of phoning things in, which is what I think they're doing, but even just the perception of that happening, it did not affect the box office for Across the Spider-Verse, which did a great deal better than I thought it would. I predicted that entirely wrong. I didn't think that would perform anything like as well as it did, and that was huge.
Yeah, but I don't want to downplay Barbenheimer. Barbenheimer is great. Like, the fact that both of those came out the same weekend and they're both doing so well is really great for the box office.
No, absolutely. I'm just saying I don't think it spells the end of superhero movies. If anything, it helps them if they're good. Like, I think that's only going to help Gunn's DC movies when they come out, if they're any good, because it keeps movie theaters going. what I'm saying is superhero movies for so long were like 75% of Hollywood's take. If that's not true anymore, the big question lately has been what takes their place. And it sounds like when you have, and the reason the Barbenheimer thing is such a popular meme is because it was preposterous that both of those movies did the kind of guns they did in one movie when they're polar opposites in genre, in tone, in everything. One's ostensibly a family film, one is not at all. One's PG-13, one's R, one's bright, shiny, fun, whatever, regardless of the supposed politics of it. I've not seen the movie. And then Oppenheimer obviously isn't trying to be at all for everyone, and certainly is not for families. So that tells you that there's still hope for variety, which means superhero movies don't keep theaters open anymore necessarily, but that doesn't mean that they can't still be part of that variety.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do think I haven't seen any of the marketing for Barbie, but based on my audience, I think the marketing is wrong and targeting the wrong group. Like my audience was like all teenage girls, and I don't think it's a Greta Gerwig movie. It's a smart, thoughtful movie. It's not. I don't think it's what it's being marketed as.
Well, obviously, I've got to see it before I can make that determination for myself. But
yeah, I don't,
because I'm hearing a lot of people saying the exact opposite of what you're saying, but I'm also hearing people saying what you're saying. So there's an argument there. I've got to see it. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a family film, but maybe. I don't know. I was definitely annoyed that there were kids in my theater making noise. but yeah, I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet though. But I don't.
Well, that's why I said ostensibly, because I think the marketing of that movie, whether you think that it was pushing it as a family film, certainly wasn't saying like this is definitely a thing you shouldn't take your kids to. And anybody that doesn't know who that director is, including me, I didn't know who that director was, isn't going to know, looking at that marketing, that it's not for families.
No, I'm not saying it's not inappropriate. It's basically just like innuendo stuff. But I just don't know what a kid would really get out of that movie. But I'm not saying it's like super inappropriate.
But also the fact that it's A, based on a toy, and B, is leaning into the fact that it's borrowing ideas from the Lego movie. That lends a lot of credence to people thinking they can take their kids to it.
Yeah, and they can. I'm not saying they can't.
You just don't like children in the movie theater is what we're learning.
No, I don't.
DJ just doesn't want children in the theater.
Babies crying when I'm in a movie. No, not at all.
No, of course I know. I'm just kidding. It's like I don't even want
family
films to be made.
That were sitting next to me talking the whole time in that movie. They were super annoying. I wanted to tell them to shut it. Especially the one who had clearly seen it already and was saying lines ahead of time.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we answered that one. Mutale, better role model for your kids, Austin or Connor?
I'm going to give that one to Connor.
Moving on.
All of the social media where he's pretending to be a Ken, notwithstanding. I'm just kidding. Hey, DJ, before you go on to another question, let's go ahead and take a 4-minute break.
Sure.
And I am feeling well enough, I think, to try to do more of the show, if not a full second hour. So we'll see you here in a little bit, folks, for the supposed second half of the Captain Logan Show, or at the very least, some more of said Captain Logan Show. We'll at least finish out the super chats that we have so far, and we appreciate you guys. Hope you're having a good time. We are doing our best to provide you content. We'll see you here in just a little bit. Hey everybody, how's it going? We are, or at least I am, hanging on for dear life here, but we're gonna attempt more Captain Logan show, if not a whole second half. DJ, I don't usually get into anything remotely political on the channel, and I feel like I say that almost every show now because, of course, we end up with, we'll get questions that it's difficult not to veer into that place, and because we'll review things that are, political in nature or have a lot of political controversy surrounding them. So it's hard to not sometimes wind up in that place. I always feel really unqualified to do that, but this is a thing that I'm not going to speak a lot about. I'm not going to weigh in on real hard, but I just want to put a pin in this because it's related enough to my favorite things in what we do here that if details continue to develop, it will be very difficult for me not to talk about this in the future. But there were congressional hearings on UFOs today. Did you hear about this?
Oh, was that I think Grace was watching something about it. Like there's like an ex-guy who was talking about it, like ex-CIA agent or something.
Yeah, we might be living in Independence Day, folks.
Oh, I guess I have to finally see that movie.
There's a lot of No, you don't, because I'm sure the real life version will be a lot more interesting and will make more sense, and
it'll be District 9,
or at least Oh no, that's unfortunate. That is what'll happen, right? We'll find some way to make this as it'll divide us even more.
Oh, of course.
Or even when it becomes obvious that there really are aliens among us, people will still just completely ignore it. Like, it's weird how many people are not talking about this. I'm like, I don't know, even just the possibility that the fact that there was a hearing about it is insane. That just by itself, just alone, is fascinating to me.
Yeah, the fact that
if there's nothing to it, it's still really interesting, right?
Watchmen doesn't seem to hold up anymore, right? Like I don't believe that if an alien invasion happened, it would pull humans together. I feel like it would, like you said, it would just pull us even further apart.
I'm going to be as cynical as I've ever been on this channel when I say this, but after this, I don't think
squids would not bring us together.
I don't think at this point 9/11 would have. I mean, that's how divided it feels like we are now. Oh, that's depressing. And I said it out loud.
That's what the Watchmen adaptation is. Maybe it's an adaptation of real life, of this situation.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was an adaptation of 9/11.
No, I don't think they're going to make an animated 9/11 film in the DC line.
Deanna says the truth is out there. Yeah, ever since I heard that, all I've wanted to do is watch X-Files episodes. And of course, there's been a lot of talk the last few years about more people actually taking the alien thing seriously, and I have not looked real deep into it, but I thought that whole thing is just really interesting, that like things get declassified and all of a sudden you have people who used to be a lot more skeptical that are like, okay, well maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
And of course my position has always been like, yes, there are almost certainly aliens. The question is, are they here? And if they're here, why? Like, what would they want with us, and why have they stuck around? And you have the crazy ships that can do apparently like maneuvers in the air that are impossible for anything we can make to actually do. Is that the aliens? Are they just effing around up in the sky for no good reason? Or is that us testing things that we reverse engineered from them? Like what even is all of that? Anyway, I don't know.
All I know is we better get Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner in a Jeep to the desert so they can start speaking to him.
It would be really funny if we decided that the people most qualified to talk to the aliens are people who have pretended to talk to aliens.
There's a movie. And then we get Will Smith. We get Will Smith in that movie, and we get Amy Adams. Who else has been in big alien movies? So we get Ridley. Who's Ripley? What's her actress's name?
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Oh.
David Spear says life is stranger than fiction. DJ, if it became irrefutable that Roswell was definitely aliens, that we have been hiding this from the general public forever, it's it seems clear to me that we've been hiding something. I just don't know exactly what it is. If it turns out that it is extraterrestrials and all of that, how surprised will you be? Like, does that change your like perception, your outlook on life at all, or is it just like? I mean, it's crazy that it was hidden for this long, but would it be the same thing as like finding out magic is real? You know what I mean? Like would it change the way you think of reality, or would you just be like, I mean, that's pretty wild that happened, but it's not like impossible.
Yeah, because I guess it would, because there would be so many more questions, like, because why did they leave, or what agreement did we come to with them?
Yeah.
Why, like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Why would they come to us in the 50s with their crappy technology and then leave?
Yeah, maybe it wouldn't change my understanding of the universe so much as make me go, okay, well, if this is true, then what other insane conspiracies that we always thought were conspiracies are
Capsule
just
flat
theories? Yeah. It wouldn't make me think the Earth was flat, but DJ, I'm gonna need you to hold the fort for a minute, and I'll be back in 45 seconds. Give me just a second.
Sure.
Well, not a second. 45 of them. I'll be right back.
I'll make use of all 45 of them. Thank you for bequeathing those seconds unto me. I don't know what we're talking about. I don't want to talk about aliens anymore. Cap pretty much covered that, so I guess we should talk about something else. What do you guys want to talk about? Or do you still want to talk about aliens? There's a delay in the chat, so I got absolutely nothing. I guess it's time for me to make my obligatory Criterion public service announcement. Tomorrow is the last day that Barnes & Noble is doing the Criterion 50% off sale, so go get your movies. No one's talking to me in the chat. No one's talking to me because there's a delay. So that was
I didn't even realize that. Okay.
Basically just me saying a whole lot of nothing. Oh, Mutali now says, are you looking forward to Aquaman 2? No. But thanks for thinking of me. I think it is funny that there was a movie, like there was a time where we thought that Aquaman 2 was going to be called The Trench, and then they're like, no, there's a different movie that's a spin-off that's going to be called The Trench. And now there is a movie this year coming out, The Meg 2, which is called The Trench, which is amazing.
I had that thought when I saw that trailer.
Yeah.
I'm excited to go back later and see the 45 seconds where DJ tried to make a show happen where nobody was talking to him.
Yeah, it was like, I don't want to talk about aliens. I guess we're talking about aliens. And then I just made an obligatory Criterion public service announcement because tomorrow's the last day of the sale. Anyway, Mutale, would be
Look, my name's in the title. We can talk about whatever I want to. Okay.
All right. I just picked up Ghost World, which you picked up in November, so I got to watch that soon.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that. Okay, so I'm sneezing uncontrollably. Clearly, this whole thing is spiraling out of control, and I'm going to have to be rushed to the emergency room right after the show. But let's go ahead and try to knock out these super chats, and I don't know how much longer I'm going to make it after that.
All right, we got Mr. Sneezy with us, joining us from the set of the Snow White remake.
Yeah, well, I'm
Sneezy, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, and like I qualified to be in that movie because you don't have to be a dwarf anymore. So
you don't have to look like you're in a real movie. You could just look like you're doing cosplay in the middle of a field.
Yeah. I'm convinced they just went to a Ren fair and picked up some people.
Hey, you want to be in a movie? Oh yeah, that picture didn't look good.
The only requirement is that you're not a dwarf, except for you. This guy with dwarfism over here, he can be in our movie, but no other little people allowed.
Yeah, a token dwarf. Mutale, what would be worse, a Back to the Future sequel or remake?
I mean, I don't want any of those things, of course, but I guess I'm gonna go with remake.
Yeah, I think a remake would be worse. Sequel
Especially
could be kind of like pathetic, but at least a remake just seems like that remake would be like a RoboCop thing or something.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this question: what is easier to write off to you, a really bad remake or a really bad decades later sequel? Because it should be the sequel or it should be the remake thing, right? Because it's like, well, it's not even in continuity, but sometimes it doesn't even feel like that. Sometimes it seems as easy to me to write off a decades later sequel where it's like, it didn't catch on. Nobody talks about it anymore. It's kind of that. Ugly stepsister. It's sad that it's there, but like nobody even looks at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I will always think of the Indiana Jones movies as 4 because the 5th one was absolutely horrendous. And I
always think of it as 3, but I don't even think about it that much because I'm not a big fan of those movies. But I don't know. So
you didn't. Okay. Good. Don't see it.
I'm not going to. I know what the ending is. I have no interest in seeing that movie.
Is the most boring too. Well, I was going to say the most boring time in a theater you have this year, but I watched Mission Impossible 7 or whatever it is, and I wanted to leave, but I paid a babysitter, so that's why I stayed. I was so bored.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I loved the one before it, so I'm still kind of excited.
So did I. I really like 6. I don't know what it is. Maybe I was just the wrong.
Okay. I thought maybe just that whole thing wasn't your thing.
I don't know if it's my thing or not because I really like 6, and then for some reason I was bored out of my mind. The only good thing about it was Sharon Carter. She's great.
Yeah, because I think Austin had the opposite thing where he didn't like 6 as well as the rest of us, and then he thought 7 was a lot better. So I don't know. I think he told me that.
Oh.
Austin, I don't mean to put words in your mouth if I'm remembering that wrong, but I thought that's what he told me.
What is that actress's name? I can't think of it right now, but she was fun. I liked her.
But yeah, Adam March says remake 100%. Yeah, I'm actually sitting here. Sorry, I changed the question. I didn't mean to do that. But I'm sitting here trying to decide, just in general, which of those is the worst thing to have to live with. I guess the worst thing that can happen. I'll tell you what the actual worst thing that can happen is.
Here we go. Worst thing ever.
Okay, so you have a franchise, right?
Both.
And you have some not great. That actually kind of is where I'm going with this, but let's play it out. So you got a franchise. You have a great first movie. You have maybe an okay sequel, maybe not even an okay sequel, right? And then you have some really not good sequels. And then somebody comes in and makes a remake, and the remake also sucks. And then somebody goes, "Here's a bright idea." You guys all know the franchises we're talking about. Here's a bright idea. Let's wipe away everything after the first movie, or at least the first 2 movies. So we're talking about Halloween. We're sort of kind of talking about Superman with Superman Returns. We're talking about Terminator. And then what happens is you make a sequel that is in continuity with 1 or 2 movies and none of the rest of them. And it also sucks. That's the worst thing that can happen.
Are you just talking about Ghostbusters right now?
Well, I just named all the things I was talking about, but Ghostbusters goes in there too. I'm mainly talking about Terminator, but Halloween has this. Actually, Halloween maybe has it worse than anything in some ways, because it has a bad remake that then gets a sequel. So like now we have like a franchise, like a crappy reboot franchise, and then nobody liked that. And then we go back and we do a 40-year sequel to the first movie. We wipe away everything, including the second movie, and then it's actually pretty good. And then its sequel is one of the worst things ever. And then it becomes a trilogy with a sequel that in my mind is about as bad as that second one. Apparently, some people like it, but I thought it was dreadful. Anyway,
I've lost track of what we're even talking about.
I don't know what we're talking about anymore either. This is what happens when I'm on my deathbed doing a show.
Now there's an idea for a stream.
It sounds a little gimmicky, I gotta be honest with you.
Coming in 2085, Cap's deathbed stream. All right, Mutale, another super chat. Would you rather see a Spider-Man film written by John Semper or Greg Weisman?
I mean, definitely Greg Weisman. I think that's just the better of those 2 writers, but...
Oh, you were talking about Halloween. See, I thought you were talking about
AMC,
Jurassic
I
Park.
should have said franchise. Franchise!
So Weisman?
Yeah.
All right, second part. Also,
sorry, that's an easy one for me. Go ahead.
I don't know who either of those men are, so I'm going to take your word for it. Also, what are
John Semper's the guy who made the 90s Spider-Man show.
Oh, okay. And Weisman?
I'm pretty sure that's the guy who made Spectacular.
Oh.
But correct me if I'm wrong, folks. I'm gonna double check.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know how either of those guys would do at a film. That would be interesting. I kind of want to see a Semper Spider-Man film. That would be insane.
Yeah, that's spectacular. But no, it would be hilarious. But I'm not gonna pick hilarious over probably at least halfway decent. So yeah.
Also, what other superhero would you want to see John Williams score?
Oh yeah, Wiseman is also Gargoyles. I was just making sure it was the same guy because there's a Greg Wiseman, there's a Greg Wise, I think. I think there's like a Robert Wiseman that worked in animation, or am I thinking about somebody else? Anyway, there's a few different people that have similar names that are in animation or at least making movies and TV shows. Okay, I'm sorry. Ask me that question one more time.
What other superhero would you want to see John Williams score?
Yeah.
Ooh, that is good. That is a good question. That is a toughie.
Well, I mean, the easy thing to say is anybody, like any superhero that's more in the kind of like mythic or big icon kind of realm.
Or a Christmas superhero.
Or a Christmas superhero. Okay, so John Williams scores the Klaus film.
Yes.
That's actually not what I would want for that, but that's kind of interesting. No, but actually that could work. He would have to almost tap more into his Indiana Jones and Star Wars side than his Superman side for that project, I would think. But and then with a little bit of Home Alone thrown in for good measure.
Yeah, a little bit of Nutcracker thrown in there.
So I'm gonna say Wonder Woman.
That is good. That is good.
That seems. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but that seems to be the right. Yeah, the right thing. I could also see him again going to more of the militant and then like kind of high flying adventure of some of the Star Wars stuff with a Green Lantern film. I could see that too. I'm not thinking of him for anything Marvel right off. Just because I have it in my head that it needs to be the more kind of mythic, iconic kinds of characters. Although, could John Williams do a good Silver Surfer score? Yeah, maybe. But I think it would almost be too like traditional. You know, I almost want that to be like a weirder, more kind of out there sci-fi score.
Yeah, something like Everything Everywhere All at Once score or something.
The Universe mentions that Thor could work for the same reason Wonder Woman would, and I don't think I disagree with that. Although,
that's true.
I would love a Thor movie to go to some more kind of Norse places, which they really have. You know what I mean? Some more kind of Viking places.
Yeah. Great question, Mitale. Very, very good. We got just a few more here before Cap gives his final throws. Robbie the Sky, $5 super chat. Thoughts on MAW Superman. I don't know what that means. Thoughts on MAW Superman. I love the show and how it... Oh, yeah. Is that the new animated series?
That new animated series, yeah.
I love the show and how it's getting a lot of anime fans and non-comic readers into Superman and how he could be written. He should be written.
I've not heard much about it, so when you say getting a lot of like non-fans to get into Superman, I don't know how popular it is. I don't know how many people are actually looking at it. I'm sorry that you put in a super chat and I've not seen it and I can't talk about it, but I do appreciate your putting the super chat to remind me to watch it because I keep forgetting about it.
Yeah, so, how many episodes have been out already? Do you know?
Can't be more than 2 or 3. Like it just started.
Okay. Yeah, My Adventures
or at least
Superman.
I wouldn't think My Adventures with Superman. Yeah, I saw the intro like a couple days before the show came out, and then I totally forgot about it. I've been on vacation and stuff, so.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Is it an HBO Max thing or what is it?
It's on Max.
Okay.
Well, it's on. What's so weird is it's technically Adult Swim, but it's being marketed as a family thing, but all the marketing is also Adult Swim, and I'm like, well, it's weird to put a thing on Adult Swim that's supposed to be for everybody. Stop it. AMC says it's tearing up my Discord, which I should look at more. And I just have not been there this week.
Yeah, they were talking about it.
Oh, 4th episode
at the beginning
is out.
of the chat tonight. It does look very anime-y. Cool. Well, I hope people love it. I hope it's great.
Okay, I will try to do some of that before next show. Feel free, folks, to keep reminding me about it.
We are old and we need constant reminders. Mutale, are you gonna review Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon this December?
I have not heard anything about that.
Rebel Moon.
But I might look at it. I watched his last film, which I liked more than other people did, but I'm sure I wouldn't. I'm sure it would fall apart on a second viewing, because that's what happens with his stuff with me.
When a colony on the edge of the galaxy finds itself threatened by the armies of the tyrannical regent Balsaurius, they dispatch a young woman with a mysterious past to seek out warriors from neighboring planets to help them take a stand.
See, I don't think it's right to go steal some random movie that was made 30 years ago and then put your name on, like 40 years ago, and then put your name on it. I don't think you should do that.
Tell that to J.J. Abrams. So this is like a crazy sci-fi epic thing. Wow.
With My Adventures of Superman, AMC says it's mildly adult. Some characters actually die. That doesn't mean it belongs on Adult Swim, though. That clearly just isn't what it used to be. But, yeah, I have
heard nothing about this.
I
wasn't he making like a sequel to his zombie movie? Wasn't that like the franchise he was working on? I didn't know he was doing other things.
Yeah, I thought that thing was supposed to have like TV shows, like a cartoon.
What if this is like a Jupiter Ascending type thing, Cap? That would be fun.
Or Valerius. Somebody was talking about Valerius earlier. Another movie that I liked quite a bit, that a lot of people, that almost no one else did. I bought the Steelbook for that recently because it was $5. You know, this has been my track record with Zack Snyder since BVS, right? Or since Man of Steel, actually. I'll watch a Snyder movie and, like, yeah, I'll have issues with it, but I'll enjoy it and I'll feel, like, kind of embarrassed for that. And then I'll see it again and it will completely fall apart. Meanwhile, a James Gunn movie, I watch once and I don't care, and then after 3 more times I go, okay, this is one of the best things I've ever seen. But I have to watch it 4 times!
Oh, you gotta have that perseverance.
Isn't that weird? So, like, Snyder, it's like, I watch it once, and I should never watch it again, because in my head, it'll be an okay movie. And Gunn, if I don't watch it again, I'll lose out on what will become one of my favorite things. That's what happens with him. Yeah, no, I know Canto Tour that it wasn't originally Adult Swim. That's why I don't understand why they put it there.
But you will probably review this Rebel Moon movie when it comes out, right? To answer the question.
Probably. Anyway, I'm sorry. Moving right along.
Whether willingly or unwillingly. Daddy Longlegs, $2. Thoughts on Invincible Season 2 trailer?
I knew that had come out, but I have not looked at it yet. And I guess there's a special that they did for Adam Eve. So thanks for reminding me to look at that too, because I kind of want to watch that. But yeah, I haven't seen that trailer yet. I did not mean to come unprepared, but I totally forgot that it dropped. I haven't looked at it yet. And I mean, I'm gonna watch that show, so like I don't really need to. I don't feel like I need to see more material, but I'll probably take a look at it just in case it comes up again on the show. But yeah, sorry about that.
All right, last super chat I have
okay.
At the moment. Drum roll, please. Mutale, how different would Dark World have been if it was before Avengers, and what alternative title would you have given it?
Dark World? Yeah.
Before Avengers.
You know, I'm going to go out on a limb and say not that much. I think it probably would have suffered from a lot of the same problems, DJ, because I don't think Dark World turns out the way it does really because of anything with Avengers so much as
they just didn't know how to do that material.
Yeah, people didn't really respond like I think like they hoped they would with that first movie, and Branagh didn't come back, and there was a little bit of floundering of what is even our take on this. So I think it would have turned out more or less the same.
Yeah, it may have had less Loki. Maybe because Avengers was such big Loki fare, and he got really famous and memey, and they had to bring him back in that one. Maybe it would have just been a totally different villain.
Or like, yeah, he might have gone in a slightly different direction in that movie, but I think he still would have been pretty prominently featured in it, because that was.
And I don't know that the title would have changed.
Yeah, sorry, that was the second part of that.
Or I guess that could just mean he just says, what alternate title would you have given it?
I mean, anything that doesn't have the word dark in it, because everything was doing that then, and it's irritating.
Or world or planet or anything.
Yeah, it's so generic. Like, I don't know, for the movie they made, like what would you retitle it to, DJ?
Dark Elf. Thor the Dark Elf.
Thor the Dark Elf?
Who gets nothing to do and is barely in it.
That's great, yeah. What's the plane that the Dark Elves come from?
I can't tell you. I haven't seen that movie since the theater.
That's the thing, is I'm sitting here racking my brain trying to remember what even happens in that.
I have it right here, which I only bought because it had this really cool Loki slipcover from Target.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've never once watched it. So I don't even know. Thor in the
Naked Scientist. I remember that.
In the nursing home.
Mutale, I would have just called it Thor God of Thunder. But yeah. And I guess we've done that kind of thing a little bit with some of those. Svartalheim, that's what it was called. Okay, well, you can't really call the movie Thor Svartalheim.
Thor Svartalheim, that's great.
That's what I'm going to refer to Dark World as for the rest of time. Svartalheim.
That's what I'm going to refer to Oppenheimer as. Is Svartalheim. Gotta go see Svartalheimer.
Okay, well, DJ, I don't think I'm going to make it much longer.
Okay, we got one more super chat at the last minute.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and call it after this. Thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. I'm sorry that this has been such a odd, kind of haphazard show, and that I've been running on half the brain cell count. But I hope you've enjoyed it nevertheless. Go ahead, DJ.
You should be able to handle this. Better Ra's al Ghul pronunciation, TAS or begins?
I've always preferred Raz over Raish, personally, especially since Begins, but, you know, I don't really care. I just want, like, it'd be nice to have consistency with it, but especially inside of a singular piece, you know, to, like, not keep changing it, like, in the thing, but I like Raz just because if we had called it that from the beginning, there wouldn't be any irritating argument about this. Like, if you see it printed, you know, if you read it in comics, nobody's going to think that, oh, he's called Ra's al Ghul. Why would you put a sh in it? It's R-A-S. What would even make you think Ra's al Ghul? And then, you know, that only happened because of animated series. And it was apparently supposed to be pronounced Raz in the first place, so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my answer to that.
Good. Nailed it. See? You're still at the top of your game.
Everybody, thanks as always for watching the Captain Logan Show. We'll be back with you again next Thursday night at 7 Central. I may be a ghost, but I'll be here, and I won't be the day ghost. I'll be the mid-evening ghost.
Doesn't really have the same ring.
Bob Garland says it's supposed to be a Raish according to Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams. See, I thought they had said the opposite, that it was Raz, but anyway. It's not important. I still like Raz better. Tomorrow night, if all things go according to plan, if I'm not a ghost, we're going to do the Superhero Rewind commentary on Masters of the Universe. Join us for that. It should be a lot of fun. That movie is ridiculous and very B-movie-ish, and we'll all have a good time with it, I am sure. And Sunday, around 7 Central in the evening, again, if all goes according to plan, we're going to be doing a discussion on highlights from recent offerings from DC for the dawn of DC Initiative. So lots of stuff going on here on the channel. And once again, come back and hang out with us next Thursday. DJ, appreciate you, man. Thanks for being here. And I've missed you.
Missed you too, buddy. Good to be back. Had a lot of fun. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.